Back in the old days of WoW, ranged weapons needed either arrows or bullets in your bags to be used. But come the Cataclysm expansion, they were just removed from the game. And now all bows and guns just have unlimited shots. This video will talk about the brief history of the ammo mechanic in the 3 expansions that it was in the game. Back in vanilla WoW, in order to fire your ranged weapon, you needed ammo to be applied to your weapon, as there was a slot in your character panel to show what kind of ammo your weapon would be using. The ammo did a set amount of damage and just increased the amount of damage your ranged attacks did. So as you leveled up, you could buy stronger and stronger ammo, just like you'd buy stronger and stronger weapons today. There were special bags that could only carry ammo called Quivers and ammo pouches. Only bullets for guns could be placed in ammo pouches, and only arrows for bows and crossbows could be placed in Quivers. Since arrows were used for both bows and crossbows, despite real-life bows and crossbows requiring different types of bolts. Now, you could equip and use bullets and arrows from any old bag, but there were some advantages to taking up one of your bag slots to use a quiver. For one, your quiver and ammo bag would actually appear on your character like any other piece of equipment. No other bags in game could appear on your character except these two. Now, outside of cosmetics, they also auto-reloaded your ammo into your gun or bow. You see, only hunters, rogues, and warriors could equip and use ranged weapons, but only hunters could auto-shoot with ranged weapons. Warriors and rogues had to manually shoot every shot. So when a hunter would auto-shoot, they eventually ran out of ammo mid-fight, as they were only in stacks of 200, and you'd use ammo with nearly all of your abilities, in addition to using one for each auto attack. But once you ran out of that 200, you'd just stop shooting, which would be really bad in the middle of a boss fight. But if your ammo was in an ammo bag, like the quiver or ammo pouch, your weapon would automatically search for a new stack of the same type of ammo in that bag once it ran out, which then allowed it to auto-reload for you, as long as you had more ammo of the same type. And on top of this auto-reload feature, ammo bags also gave a haste bonus. And this is where epic quivers come from. The quality of the bag used to matter a big deal, because the maximum haste bonus you could get from your ammo bag, which I might add only affected your auto shot speed, was 15%. So if you just bought a small white quality quiver from a vendor in town, it would probably only give you a 10% haste buff. But the epic quiver from the epic hunter quest chain gave the full 15%. So gearing up for a hunter required them to get one extra piece of gear in the form of a bag. Hunters were the only class in game that had to pay money to use their abilities, and had to give up one of their bag slots for a piece of their equipment. Warlocks also had soul shard bags, but they didn't give useful benefits like ammo bags did, and just had larger carrying capacity. So already, you can see some of the reasons why Blizzard felt the need to remove them, but I'll get to that part a little bit later. For now, let's talk about engineering. Ever wonder why nearly every hunter you meet is an engineer? Well, because engineers could create bullets. Good bullets too, the best bullets in the game even. But only bullets, not arrows. But you could trade in the best bullets, thorium shells, to a vendor for the arrow equivalent for free. So basically, engineers could craft the best ammo in the game. And many hunters just felt like it was a huge convenience to be able to craft the thing required to play their class. Me included, I started playing in Wrath, and even then, it was just so much more convenient to be able to make my own ammo than buy it off the auction house. Then comes the Burning Crusade, and Blizzard even finally let engineers just craft the arrows themselves, with the very first crafted arrows being the adamantite stinger. Then in Wrath of the Lich King, the trend continued. Engineers could craft both bullets and arrows the whole expansion, with even the final raid, ICC, having a rep-gated engineering schematic to craft the best bullets or arrows in the game. The Ice Blade arrows were also one of the only 2 ways of giving your arrows a little glow with every shot. But since the cost to learn how to craft these two ammos was pretty steep at first, buying the best ammo for your weapons from the auction house was very commonplace, and people loved to post ammo in stacks of 1 to troll the auction house. Because you see, ammo could only stack up to 200, which wasn't changed until mid-Wrath when the stack was increased to 1000, and hunters needed tons of ammo. And since it was basically the largest quantities of things one could buy from the auction house, it wasn't uncommon for people to troll the auction house by posting ammo in stacks of 1 to try to trick players into spending a lot of gold on 1 ammo, which was almost useless. You only ever wanted to buy full stacks of ammo, and I think this was also another reason it was removed. Using the default auction house interface to buy ammo was a nightmare with just how many people flooded the market with single ammo auctions, which caused pretty much every hunter to have to be very careful when they bought ammo from the auction house. In TBC, the legendary bow that dropped from Kil'jaeden had a special effect of not needing any ammo to use, as it created its own magical arrows when it fired, making it a very loved quality of life legendary that wasn't very useful, as it was obtained from the last tier of raiding and was made useless come the new expansion. That does make me wonder if hunters with that bow still had a quiver equipped when using it though. Now let's go back to quivers and ammo pouches for a bit. For all of vanilla and TBC, ammo bags gave the hunter a bonus to auto shot speed, which made them basically a piece of gear that they had to upgrade. But in Wrath's early patch 3.1, this attack speed was removed from ammo bags and instead was just baked into auto shot baseline. And for the longest time, the auto shot tooltip would even say that it gave a 15% haste in addition to letting you auto shoot ranged weapons. With this change, the only benefit of having special bags was their increased carrying capacity for ammo and the auto load mechanic. But once Cataclysm hit and they removed ammo from the game, quivers and ammo pouches were just turned into regular bags and no longer showed up on your character, effectively removing them from the game. Now, why was ammo removed from the game? Well, like I mentioned earlier on in the video, hunters were the only class in the game who had to pay for every shot they fired, and most abilities also consumed an ammo even if their power wasn't modified by it in any way. Hunters had one more chore to deal with that other classes didn't, and it was a pretty big deal if they ignored it. Running out of ammo in the middle of a fight meant doing almost no DPS, as you had to run in and do melee damage, which was not very good. If anything, removing ammo was just the logical choice, as they didn't really need it outside of class fantasy stuff. Now, lots of hunters complained about its removal, and still do. But one of the more valid complaints about the removal of ammo was the loss of quivers and ammo pouches, since there is no way to get that look back outside of the MM artifact weapon. So for Warlords of Draenor, Blizzard announced this new exciting thing called class accessories, which would be a way to give hunters their quivers and ammo pouches back, finally, after all these years. But they wouldn't come into a later patch in Warlords, and they could even be leveled up to change their appearances. What a new, fun, and exciting thing Warlords was going to add. Now, you might be wondering, what? There's no such thing as class accessories though. And yeah, you're right. This was one of the many things scrapped from Warlords of Draenor. Or more like Warlords of scrapped content. But seriously, there was so much thrown out from that expansion. I'll link a video at the end of this one going over most of it. But yeah, class accessories was the last we've heard of any kind of return to quivers and ammo pouches. I'd guess since MM hunters did get quivers with their artifact appearance, Blizzard just called it a day and left it as is. But I've heard rumors that Blizzard didn't abandon class accessories quite yet, and more or less put them on hold to work on artifact weapons. But I don't know how true that is. Okay, and I think that's it for as far as ammo goes. In order to give hunters a convenience that every other class had, they had to take away what made them unique. But is it really a bad thing to have a unique feature taken away when that feature in of itself was nothing but a huge chore? That's the big question, and one I don't really have a good answer for. As for the other two islands, the one directly below Spires of Iraq and the much larger one below Negran, there was never any official word on what those were supposed to be.